Hey everyone, Carl back with Littleroot Lessons, bringing you a deep dive featuring Spectrier. We covered Glastrier last week, and today we're covering its counterpart, the Ghost Horse. They're pretty much complete antithesis of each other. Glastrier is bulky and slow, whereas Spectrier is fast and not the bulkiest thing. It's not frail by Pokemon standards. It's got decent stats in both its defenses, but it's not bulky like Glastrier is. Remember that if you like what you see, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications for when new videos go live. We are going to be covering double horse teams next episode, and I'd like to hear feedback on which is your favorite horse. If you have a favorite, you could say you like both, but I just want to know which one's your favorite. I have a soft spot for Spectrier. It's probably one of my more favorite Pokemon from the Crown Tundra as like a new Pokemon. So looking over Spectrier, we've got a couple things that Spectrier does really, really well. It's a very fast Pokemon that tries to just kind of blow people up. It can do a ton of damage with its very high special attack, and it's very, very fast. Remember correctly, it's base 130 speed, so that puts it on speed tiers with Tapu Koko, Jolteon, Crobat, Aerodactyl, things like that. It gets to that magical 200 stat. A lot along is fast and powerful. It's very flexible with what it can do. It can either be a very fast support, it could be a mixed set with like Will-O-Wisp and damaging moves. It could also just be a pure Dynamax option with Life Orb and like Hyper Beam and Mudshot. So it's very, very good at just covering a lot of different things. Usually it's paired with Pokemon that will benefit from either its status moves or its very, very powerful and fast like modes. And to support Spectrier, we usually play more supportive Pokemon, things like Clefairy, Redirection, Screens, stuff like that, or you put a Focus Sash on it so you don't just lose it in one hit. Introduced via Crown Tundra through DLC, the Spectrier was actually probably one of the less popular of the horses when they both came out. Glastrier's stats were very front-loaded, and its move pool was very offensive-based, so people kind of just like gravitated towards that early meta. But Spectrier kind of really came into its own during the Players' Cup 2 regional qualifiers and the finals. If I remember correctly, there were 2 in the top 16 for globals, if I remember correctly, which 2's not a lot, but 2 out of 16 teams is still a significant data point. That being said, it's kind of just had its hands everywhere since it got started seeing play a lot more. I know Double Horse is a thing, there's Clefairy Spectrier teams, there's Spectrier Metagross teams, or Spectrier plus some other support that has clear body, things like that. So it's really, really cool just seeing Spectrier evolve into this Pokemon that's much more popular than Glastrier is right now. Common partners for Spectrier tend to be more support or very high offensive threats. The support side tends to like offensive threats like Glastrier and Incineroar and Celesteela, things that can deal damage while Spectrier weakens the opponent. Whereas the offensive side of Spectrier likes to see redirection, likes to see screens, things like Indeedee, Clefairy, Grimmsnarl, Pokemon like that. Also, it's just a very good Pokemon to have if you have a fighting weakness. Pokemon like Incineroar and Glastrier are weak to fighting, and Spectrier is a very good switch in to just eat a Max Knuckle because it's not going to do anything to the Spectrier. Whereas it would do a lot to the Incineroar or the Glastrier. Celesteela also kind of fits into this partner Pokemon build, along with Ferrothorn. These bulky steel types like being able to sit on the battlefield for a very, very long time, and Spectrier makes it to where they don't have to worry about being one-shot by random fire attacks or one-shot by random fighting attacks because the threat of Spectrier just switching in on it is still there. Looking over its common moves and its common items here, Shadow Ball is almost on every Spectrier set. It's usually the only damaging move you have to play. And as we kind of move down here, there's sets that run Mudshot and Hyper Beam with Protect. There's also sets that run Shadow Ball, Will-O-Wisp, Snarl, and Protect. Things like that. There's very few that run Nasty Plot, but Nasty Plot's there if you just want to run a very bulky Spectrier with a way to just go mode really quickly. Common items, Life Orb is probably the most common item you'll see on a Spectrier. It's a very offensive Pokemon by nature, so having that Life Orb means you just pick up KOs where you probably shouldn't. Things like with Shadow Ball or Max Phantasm, just helps you pick up a bunch of KOs. The other most popular item is Focus Sash, just because you are a kind of frail Pokemon. You really lose hard to priority and dark type moves and things like that, so having that Focus Sash means you get to stick around for another turn, can get another Snarl or another Will-O-Wisp, or have another shot at doing something with your Spectrier. Looking over these sets here, the first one is a kind of hybrid set with Shadow Ball, Snarl as like kind of support, Will-O-Wisp to kind of reduce physical damage, and then Protect just to like make sure you don't get blown up. And it's a very flexible set, and this is probably the most common one you'll see. It's very hybrid-y. It can Dynamax if it wants to, but doesn't have to. The second set is a very hard Dynamax option. Shadow Ball, Mudshot, Hyper Beam, Life Orb, Max Special Attack, Max Speed, Timid Nature, there to just blow things up and not give a care about anything else. Its ability Grim Neigh means it gets a +1 special attack boost every time it gets a knockout, so it's very, very powerful and can snowball really out of control really fast. The last set here is a kind of take on a supportive set. It's a little bit bulkier, still very fast, but doesn't look to hit as hard. Has moves like Will-O-Wisp and Snarl, and we kind of dropped Shadow Ball because we're not looking to deal a bunch of damage, but we are looking to instead reduce damage and proc a policy, usually for something like Metagross, or some fire type that usually can usually take the speed drop, things like that. So definitely looking at Pokemon to play with this. It was like Steel types, very, very good. Metagross was a very common pairing for a while. As mentioned earlier, Spectrier's super flexible, so the team around it really depends on what you're doing with it. Supportive sets aren't going to appreciate low damage and no bulk to kind of just like take advantage of what it's doing, whereas a super offensive set kind of wants a team that can support it and kind of keep it alive rather than play all threats and have no way to protect it. Teams that abuse offensive Spectrier can actually kind of hide information because the common sets are usually hybrid or supportive sets and not the full offensive blow people up sets. Opponents will have to guess and team select what your Spectrier is doing and kind of approach that cautiously. So you're essentially applying more pressure in team select because your opponent has to infer from the rest of your team, what is the Spectrier doing? Is it going to be the support set? Is it going to be the offensive set? Is it a hybrid set and I don't have to worry about it as much? Things like that. And like I showed earlier, you can blend the two modes and play things like Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, especially if you plan on Dynamaxing your Spectrier, because it gives you access to Max Guard. So you don't have to play Protect all the time on your Spectriers. You can play Taunt and then have that utility when you're not Dynamaxed, when you don't need it. And then if you need a Dynamax, you can Protect it and Max Guard it and you'll be fine. Spectrier is very weak to Dark types. Beating it up is usually fairly easier said than done just because Spectrier is so fast, but things like Incineroar and Umbreon just sit in front of Spectrier really well and just kind of absorb any kind of hit you throw at it. Incineroar has to be wary of Mudshot, but Umbreon definitely just sits in front of Spectrier and can just sit there and click Snarl all day long and just turn Spectrier into just a mush of a Pokemon. Priority moves are also very good, not Fake Out. Unless you are a Scrappy Kangaskhan, do not Fake Out Spectrier. But things like Grassy Glide, Sucker Punch, Aqua Jet, Ice Shard, anything that you can chip away at it before it has a chance to get damage off or get its move off will actually benefit you more often than not. It's also a good way to pick up the KO by doubling into it with a Dark type move. Just in case it is Focus Sash, you get to hit that Focus Sash, break it, and then follow up with a Dark type move to take out Spectrier. So to wrap things up on Spectrier here, it does a ton of different things. It's very versatile, very flexible, and can play mind games with your opponent on what it's actually doing. To get around this, play Snarl on your Pokemon, play bulky Dark types, Umbreon, Incineroar. I'm trying to think of other bulky Dark types in the format right now, and there's very few right now that punish Spectrier really hard. Things from earlier series would be like Scrafty. Scrafty would be very good at just kind of blocking Spectrier from doing things. So kind of keep an eye out for that stuff. And And Support Spectrier is probably the most popular set right now, so be prepared for it. Be prepared for Will-O-Wisp, be prepared for Taunt, things like that. Always be mindful that Spectrier does not have to be an offensive set. It can be that supportive set, and play around that accordingly. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching and hanging out today. Make sure to check us out on Twitter. All of our Twitter handles are there on screen right now. Check out the Discord link down below. We're currently getting signups for our second LRQ going, so if you're interested in that, check out the link. Follow the forum. It's posted in events, it's posted in announcements, it's all over the place in the server, so just ask and someone will find it for you. And remember to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications for new videos go live. It's how you get all of our content we got going on right now. There's laddering and deep dives. I'm playing Pokemon Snap on Sundays, and the podcast comes out on Mondays. There's so much stuff going on the YouTube right now that it's too much. Sometimes it's too much for us to keep up with, but we love doing it, so we're just going to keep trucking along. And have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening. We're out in the world, and we will see you all on Friday with double horse teams. Bye, guys.